Welcome to Unschooled. This is going to be a very special and interesting episode that Lexi and I are excited to hold some space around. And we are titling it The Weight of the Holidays. Lexi, what's going on? How are you, sister?
How are you, darling? I am so relieved this year because this is the first year where I've realized how the weight of the holidays has affected me for so long. And this year I'm taking my power back and it feels so good. Yes, yes, victory. And I feel like it's such a like almost taboo topic. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where it's like, oh, that makes you a bad mom, or like how, those poor kids and certain things like, um, but no, we're not going about it in a mean fashion. It's just, we're not doing gifts. It's time together. We this year kind of realized, just the material items take up space and make clutter. And that's been a big part of our year is decluttering and simplifying. And that Swedish death hack has been amazing. And in that process, it's like I realized that weight of going in debt, the stress of the holidays actually started like almost 3 months before the holidays. And we made this call back in the summertime. So in the process of doing this work over the summer of like cleaning up and, working on this topic, we made that decision. And now that we're here, I've stand firm in it, my decision. And I've realized this is enjoyable. Like I'm enjoying this year. I'm not as stressed. It's been a beautiful experience. And the past couple of holidays, they're exhausting. They're exhausting.
Well, that's the first topic that we wanted to talk about was like the financial stress that comes in because there's a lot of different things, a lot of points we want to hit on. This may turn into 2 episodes. I don't know. Yeah. But we want to talk about the financial stress. We want to talk about how a lot of souls choose to transition around this time. And, it's close to Christmas and it's close to New Year and it's the holidays, but it's also a beautiful gateway and a time where we're ending the year and things are literally transitioning from fall into winter and things are dying off. And a lot of souls choose to take that magical gateway too. And so it is hard because the one thing that we come here to truly learn and feel, I feel as souls, is grief, is that separation. When we're up in the heavens and non-physical and floating around in our soul bodies, there's this infinite, beautiful connection. We are truly, truly one and bouncing around. And when we come down here into this earth realm, we're separate. All we've got is our one, body and experience in this one flesh suit right here. And every relationship we have is temporary, no matter how close it is to our heart. We have to honor that soul and their vessel and their body and their choices and what's happening. And unfortunately, sometimes grief can be a really big shadow. And grief is a thing that, we'll talk deeply about. So that's like our topic number 1 and their number 2. And then there's also seasonal depression is our third topic going into the holidays and the time change and winter coming and what that does to us as souls, because we need to be out in the fresh air and in the sun and stimulated in order to blossom. And there's things that we need and it's real and it's a thing. And then we also wanted to talk a little bit about boundaries, saying yes when we really mean no, and having obligations to spend time with friends or family members when we might not want to, or go places we might not want to go, or things like that. So there's a whole lot of things that contribute to the weight of the holidays. And there's a whole lot of ways that we can choose how we want to respond to those things and those triggers when they come up and our choices and where we can actually get our power back in this. So this is going to be a really nice and beautiful episode, and I'm excited about it.
Oh, me too, because it's one of those feelings where, it feels good to be able to take back your power and your energy. And ultimately, like as a parent, you want to enjoy life. And when you're so frazzled all the time and overwhelmed, and it's like, it's exhausting, it's draining. And we deserve to enjoy this time too. We should all be. And it's about kind of simplifying, right? Like it's slowing down. And it's so in line with like what the solstice and this time of year is about, like nature wise. And if we were a little bit more primitive, we would be, that it falls more in line with those seasons, and our body feels that too, so it's like a lot. It's a lot, and we don't really talk about that or learn about that stuff. And
No,
now's
just
the
fall
time
into
to learn.
line and push and go, because that's what we're programmed to do. Like, bing, here comes all of our marketing, and the holiday seasons are here. And in my house, I don't know about for everybody else out there, but like holidays are a source of angst, and my entire family starts getting like anxiety about what the like Thanksgiving plans are going to be and what's going to please my grandmother because she's rough and it's not easy, and then everyone responds to her energy, and it's something that creates serious anxiety and rifts in the family for like 6 weeks before it every year. And I'm like, oh no, like this is not good. And so, it's important for all of us to just take a look at these things and how they are impacting us and what we can do to respond to it differently.
Yeah, and grief was one of our subjects too, and I feel like when we're missing somebody that we love, that we used to have these traditions with, they're no longer here, we get into this like we shouldn't be celebrating because they're not here, or it's not the same because they're not here. And the truth is they are here with us. They try to give us so many signs. So funny, because I feel like this is like when they're like, I'm here, I hear you, I'm with you. And it should be a time to celebrate, you know what I mean? And remember those good feelings, honor those good feelings. I really feel like it's time to honor. And like my kids and I really decided that this was the year that my grandfather, we wanted to honor a tradition of my grandfather who is no longer with us. One of his things that he used to do was he used to go to a grocery store or to multiple stores and like get their stuff that was like a day old that like they had to take off the shelf. He would collect it, bag it up, and then drop it off to elderly and like people like with families, and like, it was the most beautiful gesture and thing that he did on a regular basis. And it's so simple because it's a simple gesture that really, I feel like, as somebody that has been the recipient of a box like that during like a pandemic, was when we received it, was amazing. It was such a beautiful gift of hope and love and compassion. It just, it was special. So it's about, I feel like, that service and being present instead of like the presence. So we're like focusing on some different things here, and this is our way. My grandfather passed away actually Christmas Eve, so talk about passing away around this time. Yeah. And then my uncle passed away years later, same time. So I love it because my one uncle that passed away always loved the stars, and he was the one that got me into astrology and taught me how to find some of the basic stuff. So I feel like he's here in the stars with us. I feel his energy, his presence, and I'm like, it's about like honoring him. It's about enjoying this time of year, going out, looking at the stars on a crisp night. I'm telling you, it's maybe cold out, but there is nothing like my kids made me have this like realization as they dragged me out to do snow angels and the first fallen snow and to play in it. Oh my God, this is beautiful. Like, and it was dark, but the moonlight, well, there was no moonlight, but the next night when it was clear, standing out there in the moonlight on the snow, it was so beautiful. But it was that process. There was that storm that led to this beautiful, it was cold, yes, but it was still beautiful, a new beauty. So I feel like it's taking that grief and turning into something beautiful and honoring our loved ones, learning to connect with them too.
Even as people go through the grief process, like when they find out, the sad news, or their systems are shocked, or things happen, we forget that or to give ourselves permission that it's okay to also live in the moment. And there's times where you're going to laugh and your best friend's going to show up and make a snarky comment or something. And like, it's okay to like, just be. And when the grief hits and you want to cry, let it out and cry. And to really like surf the waves of the soul and all the feelings that come, to be present with them, because so many of them end up becoming stagnant and stuck and cause more traumas and dramas and angst than we really need. And we're really entering a time where it's not only safe, but it's also vital for our healing in our vessels to honor our feelings and to start to allow them to serve us and to transmute them. And because they're the key to our healing process. And it's so important to pay attention to them.
Yeah. And you want to know why people get why getting sick this time of year is because we push ourselves, we overdo it. Our bodies want us to slow down and curl up with a blanket and a book, curl up and take care of us, and just spend time in that kind of state of self-awareness and going within. And that's what our body is asking for. And when we don't give it and we just push, go, stress over everything, we put ourselves then at risk for, getting sick. And guess what? Then that knocks us on our butt and puts us in bed, because that's where it wanted us to be all along. So
all along, reminding me even of just I've done it years and years for so many times. But in high school, I had like my first real glimpses of it because I really wanted to be independent and make money and save money for college and, have my own life. And I was me, but like 16 and 17 and 18 and like, woof, I was quite a Mandee. So I was definitely headstrong, and I worked full time and I went to school full time. On the weekends, Lexi and I grew up in Vermont. I would teach snowboarding during the day, and then at night I would work at a restaurant. And I started out as like a hostess, and then I was like a busser, and then a server, and then a bartender and manager, the whole thing. So, but I always did I taught I did this for probably 8 years, all through high school and college. And I would come home after snowboarding all day. I'd get up and I'd have the best day of snowboarding and teaching and connecting with people. And I'd come home and I'd curl up in bed, and all I'd want to do is read a book or drink a cup of tea. And I would set an alarm and I would take a half-hour nap, and then I'd have to get up and I'd go to work and I'd do my night job. And it was so it took everything I had. And then I remember too, because I was going constantly, I got a little addicted to NyQuil. I was taking NyQuil at night to because then I was overstimulated because I was go all night, working in the restaurant. And then everybody who's ever worked in a restaurant knows, no matter what position, it takes you a while to chill out, even if you're exhausted, and calm down and unplug from all the crazy busy energy, especially if you're empathic. And then you got to wind down and get ready before you can actually go to sleep. And our schedules are so actually really important. And because we're in this rise and grind society, we think that we're just going to outsmart it or outsmart our bodies and our bodies in nature. And they're like, no, you're going to perform better by giving yourself exactly what you need. And so now my entire work schedule is completely different. And as I'm building my own business and growing and learning, and as I've brought myself back to life from all kinds of injuries and disease and things that I caused to myself because of my crazy rise and grind and my push and my horrible self-talk to myself back then, it's amazing how, I don't even know where I'm going with that. You go, Lex.
No, you're going with how exhausting what it did to your body.
It destroyed you.
How it was going against what the rhythm wanted. Yeah. And you know what? We forget to listen to our bodies. We get so out of tune. And it's that process of self-awareness. I truly believe, becoming aware of what your body is asking for and needs. This is a vessel, right? This is like a car for our soul. We got to take care of it just like we would our vehicle. So it's one of those things. Yeah. And it's I really look at it that way, because it's there's so many different parts up to the car, just like our soul, our energy, our actual body, our lymphatic system, all the different pieces and parts. And I don't feel like we're really taught or given that support. We've been kind of conditioned for many generations to work, go against that, right? To go against our intuition, to go against like natural rhythms.
Anxiety and like insomnia are like okay now and accepted, and like,
yeah, it's like, here, take this.
Shouldn't be that way. No, what we need is to unplug a bit. Everybody needs to get sleep. And if you're not getting sleep, if you have anxiety or insomnia, it's because there's a disruption happening. It's because there's a trauma or drama plaguing you. It's because there's too much stress going on in work. It's because you're stressing your body and you're not giving it what it needs. This is like a perfect segue into our discussion about seasonal depression and like how when we're not taking care of ourselves and you know, the winter time is when it's going to reflect most, because it's when we have the least amount of nutrients and sunlight. It's when we have to realize exactly what kind of condition we're in and what reserves we need. And it's where we need to give ourselves a permission to let the dead things kind of die off and see where we're at energetically. And we're not gifting ourselves that opportunity. We're not allowed to, because Lexi and I talk about it. The cost of living is so high and so hard. And it's so hard for like a lot of like median families to keep up with the grind of it. And everybody's pushing so hard and so far. And then they're, you know, lacking and risking quality time with themselves and their family and their sleep and all of these things. And it's a hard pressure to keep up with. And it's another, you know, big weight of the holidays and contributes to depression.
They're setting us up for failure. Sometimes it feels like we have been conditioned to get stuck in this cycle, to have to then buy these products and be fighting for, you know, become these, following this way. And it's like a mind numbing, like a soul numbing, take this for this. And I feel like I'm somebody who for years has battled with seasonal depression. It's been one of those things where mental health wise, going against what my body needed did not do my mental health any good. Then add the stress of the finances, right? Did not, it just added, you just get buried. And nowadays, being a parent and this financial world and this how things are set up right now, it kind of sets you up for stress. It sets you up for failure in a way, because everything is going up and you're working as many hours as you can, but you're not getting that pay increase to match the cost of living. To see what our electric bill goes up our electric bill goes up in the winter, every winter, because we have some electric heaters and like sooner, so you're turning your lights on sooner at times. But like living in the dark, I like to I have the windows open as long as possible. There's so many factors here, so many parts to this time of year that are overwhelming. You know what I mean? It's like all of them feed into this perfect storm. It's crazy.
It is. It really is. So some ways that we can respond to our seasonal depression when that comes
and break free from it.
What are some of your favorite medicines? What are some things that you like to do to be aware and to?
I think identifying it, right? And starting to kind of track it. I really believe, because it was this year that I reflected back the work I did last year in my attempt last year to call it back, where I went wrong last year in calling it back. I didn't set up healthy enough boundaries. I didn't make sure I took care of me last year. I didn't put my needs first or make sure I was enjoying it or that my needs were getting met. I was stressed over everything. I stressed over money the entire time, over gifts. So this year it was eliminating stressors. It was like, just kind of figuring out where were my energy gaps, what was exhausting me and what fills me up. So lessening what exhausted and then adding what filled me up, which is making cookies and eating cookies. So it's like, let's just bake instead of gifts. Let's just bake every day. And then let's even bake even more on Christmas Day. You know what I mean? It's like letting loose in that way, going, celebrating in that form and giving back, finding ways that fill us up instead. Being able to donate clothes and toys, that felt good. Making my kids do that too with their belongings really helped them not want gifts or ask for gifts. You know what I mean? They just want to play games and laugh and have us present.
Make memories, right? Isn't that what we all want? Is to be here in the now, happy, with peace, with love, with joy. We think the material things are going to give joy, and it does, but like, what's everyone so excited about? It's usually the anticipation of Christmas. It's the anticipation of Christmas coming, and then they come and everybody like loves it and plays with it for what, half hour, 15 minutes, whatever it is. And then it's like, okay, what are we going to do now? And the memories are like watching the movie together, making the cookies together. I can't express enough how much I've really explored this like gift of like giving food, because I love to cook and I've like had to heal myself through a lot of food, and I always like have stuff. And like whenever somebody is stressed or overwhelmed or gets sick, I have a lot of friends who just have really specific diets. And because I went through all my ups and downs, I've tried like all the diets, so I know how to cook like all the things. And so I'll make like a really nice vegan soup or some sort of like keto recipe or something like that and gift it to someone in a time of need, especially. And like people love that. And around the holidays, like here you go.
That's nourishment.
That's nourishment. It's love. It has incredible ingredients, and it's a meal. It's something that somebody doesn't have to think about. They can pull it out of their freezer or do whatever, and they're like loved, and it gives them time as well that night. So like, it's so underestimated, the little things. And I think we miss a lot of that in our communities, and how, especially after the COVID chapter, there's been a lot of separation. And I think, think about it, like your favorite memories of holidays a lot of the times have to do with the smells of things. And you're walking in and you're smelling things cooking, and you're seeing certain lights, and you're seeing people enjoying themselves or laughing or whatever it is. Then there's the other side of that. We always got to swing the pendulum the other way, and especially today, because the weight of the holidays, there's been a lot of abuse in many families. There's a lot of trauma, and you got to hang out with the alcoholic, or this is happening, or speak, sister, what you got?
Getting spread too thin, getting fought over. I know so many families that go through the battle of families fighting over where are you going and when, and whose party is where. It can become overwhelming and stressful, and that's a lot of energy to be picking up. So
what's some advice that you would give some people for some healthy boundaries around that?
Saying no. Saying no, and you don't need to give an explanation. That gift alone, that permission slip, I would like to gift people a permission slip to say no without having to give an explanation, or a no thank you, or we can't, a kind, like maybe giving some good ways to say no, right? Practicing saying no.
So what are some can't. I love this topic because I talk to people about this all the time, and especially like if somebody calls and they're like emotionally dumping on you, but you don't have time for it, you can take a breath and say, hey, I love you. I'm sorry, but I don't have time right now. I want to be present for this, and I want to make time. I'm stressed. I don't have the capacity, but like, can we have, for us tea and a token to talk or something like that on Tuesday? And I can give you my attention. Yeah. And then people are usually kind of taken back, but like, okay. And if people react and they're like, well, you're not here for me and I need you, and like, then that's their choice. That always comes from wounding. That comes from needing to work on our inner child. That comes from a place of reaction. And it happens all the time. None of us are perfect or healed. And it's always an opportunity to say, okay, well, if I am reacting a certain way, why is that? What's within me that's causing that? We had a beautiful episode of Saltwater for the Soul recently with my friend Gail Prince. And we were talking about reactions and responses and what that looks like. And she's like, I find she said something to the effect of like, she finds reactions really fascinating and really like, it's like a portal, because when people are reacting a certain way, whether it's short or curt or like, mean or silent or whatever it is, it's an indication of what's going on within. And if we're reacting a certain way, whether it's like, oh, my dog's just really pissing me off this morning. Well, is it, or is there something coming out of you that's making you want to react this way. So what's the imbalance? Is there a truth that needs to be spoken? Is there something that needs to be forgiven? Does your body need some nutrients because you've been just eating junk food? Do you need to do some exercise? Like, what is coming up in order for us? Does your inner child need some love and some positive affirmations? Are you needing to receive something that you can't get? Usually it's from a parent. So we got to learn how to reparent ourselves and give ourselves what it is we need. This is an opportunity for the work and the deeper stuff. Not fun or easy, but the best thing we can do is say no. Yeah. And take space. And there's a lot of different ways. And my favorite way is, hey, I love you. I can't right now. And then eventually, if I can't hear you, then finally it's like, no, stop. And then, and especially like phone calls are a good example. A lot of people, especially right now during COVID, it's like people are getting drained with their friends and their relatives and different things, or some people are just really negative. And there's a certain time and space where it's like, oh man, like, let's talk about what you're going through, because that's got to be really hard and really rough. And then there's a certain time and space where everybody keeps talking about the same things over and over again, and it's not getting very solution oriented. And then everybody can usually feel that kind of negative dip and drag. And it's like, how do we do this? So you can have healthy conversations. Hey, I love you. Do you want me to be here for comfort or support, or do you want some solutions right now? Because then when they just want me to hold space. All right, I can just sit here and say, okay, I'll just hold some space and hear what you had to say and throw you a little, if you're like us, a little Reiki every now and then. They want solutions and you say, okay, all right, I'm ready. But then you don't have that angst of, I don't know what to say or do. Like the more clear communication we have with people, like the better. And I'm not the best at it. I'm learning and growing, especially in like romantic relationships. But every single time this happens, it's an opportunity to do better.
Up level.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to show up, and to show up in either your old self or an old version, or show up and try something new, right? And be honest about it. I like to say a lot, I'm just open and honest. I'm not that great at communicating, So sometimes I fumble and I'm like, ooh, that went out wrong or was received wrong. I flat out say, I am so sorry. Did not mean for that to come to be received in or to lower your vibe, or for it to be received wrong. I was just trying to comfort you, and I'm really busy right now. So you know what I mean? Being honest, like I am overwhelmed myself, and that was on accident, or none of my good ones are coming right now. I've had some good ones that I've been proud of too. That's the whole reason I want to talk about. I was like smooth. I'm the one that fumbles. And as I'm doing now, I'm the person that I have such a hard time saying no. Like it's like an automatic response. So I have to learn to slow down and like breathe. Sometimes I don't even answer the call. Sometimes like I have to prep myself with like, let them leave a message and call back, because I know in the moment I sometimes can't restrain myself. I just react instead of respond, as we've been talking about. Mandee and I have been talking about whether it's a reaction or a response. Sometimes we allow our emotions that immediately, or conditioning, because that's conditioning to serve others, is what for me I found out. I say yes to things because I want to make sure everybody's happy, and I'm making everybody happy, but I can't pour from an empty cup. And also we can only do so much. We can only spread ourselves so thin. We're one being, so we can't be in a million places. So sometimes we just have to. And learning to set those healthy boundaries, that's been a process. Like not responding right away, counting to 3 and going over it. Is this what I really want? Checking in. Is this for me or them?
Yes.
Sometimes it's like, I would love to, but we're just so busy, or it's not in the cards for me right now. I just be honest. I got 4 kids. I'm busy. There and 4 kids under the age of, well, my oldest thank God for him being 13 because he's a help. But the 7 and the 5 and the 2-year-olds, oh my gosh, we have our hands full. I can't be, I'm not Superwoman. I'm sorry.
You're merely a human. You're doing your best. And that's exactly. Just it, and people are going to react or respond however they want. Yeah. The response comes in when you get to a point in your consciousness where you're able to start taking breaths and kind of seeing yourself from a higher perspective and choosing how you want to react to something. And it's an art.
Yeah.
You're like, how the heck, like what? Reacting's natural. Like it is, but then there's also, as you learn after time on this conscious journey and this path of ascension and awakening, as you sit with it, as you meditate, as you spend time, you start to separate a little and you get to become kind of that, Jedi ninja warrior in creating your own matrix, and you get to truly slow down time and then decide how you want to respond to something. And you might get it right, you might get it wrong, like whatever, but each time it's another opportunity to learn and to practice and to grow. And just as long as you're trying to do it from a heartfelt place, you can't go wrong.
You can't, and it gets easier and easier.
They don't accept it. Exactly.
It gets so much.
You're going to rock boats.
Yes. No. So I started working with Mandee probably, how many years ago has it been now? 4 or 5?
Something like that.
Okay. So long. And when I came in a hot mess and depression and anxiety, fear of death, like no other, no boundaries. I had like a walk all over me posted on my back and forehead. I had a million energy leaks, and learning, it's a process, right? That nothing happens overnight. But that process of becoming aware that I am the curator of my life. So being able to, I was able to look back and see a progression over the past 3 holiday seasons, because it used to start hitting me like as soon as Halloween was over and we got into November. That's for me when the seasonal depression and the weight of the holidays really hit hard. That's where the depression aspect happened. And it usually just spiraled, and I would kind of sometimes shut down and go within and try my best. It's been a process of trial and error, but as long as I've been showing up for myself, it's been continuously getting better and learning to see that those challenges are all a part of a bigger picture. You don't see it in that moment. You know what I mean? You don't see even just an invite to something and a chance of practicing it, saying no and putting that healthy boundary up, because it doesn't have to hurt other people's feelings. There's a way to do it, diplomatic for both, and to do it so kindly that you don't offend people. Some people are just easily offended. It's not your burden to carry, right? Learning that. It gets easier and easier, because this is the first year that I actually feel like I created a really magical year, holiday season for my family, and I'm present in it and I'm enjoying it, and I'm not stressed. I'm not overwhelmed. It didn't go by like that, because every year my mom and I would sit there at Christmas and be like, oh my God, it's already here and over, it's here. What happened? And it's because we were so wrapped up in trying to check off this to-do list that we weren't present for the holiday. And this has been the best, simplest, cheapest year yet. And it's been one of the craziest years too, energetically in the world and with everything else going on, stress-wise. So that I feel like this is a miracle. I feel like this was just something that is a gift in itself in a way.
And speaking of that, what are some we were talking a little bit in the beginning about having, less of an environmental stamp, and how, you're trying to declutter and you don't want more things that are going to clutter. What are some great alternative gifts? We talked about,
oh my gosh,
love the idea of time. If you can gift some babysitting or something like that is a huge
meal.
gift. And the meals, we talked about that.
A gift made with love is a gift that makes the most impact, lasting impact. It can be so simple, but when you put that energy and love into it, it's there. It's so funny because my grandmother called and she's like, oh my gosh, I don't have anything for the kids. What do I get them? What do I send them? I said, no, they don't need anything. I said, how about this? When we come out to visit you, take us out for to the zoo and a custard like my grandfather used to do. It was a way to honor my grandfather, who we missed because he, passed on Christmas Eve. And, it was, she was like, oh, I love that. it's something for the kids to look forward to, and it's experience and a memory that they're going to have. So that's a gift that gives, you know.
Experiences are a great gift idea, you know, whether that's concert tickets or, you know, whether that's going somewhere together or an art class, or there's just so many different things that we can do that
grandparents and aunts and uncles gift the parents in your life a night out without their kids. That's all we want. Send me out to dinner, or even put me in a timeout and take my kids. That would be great. We'll just take anybody just supporting us in creating balance in our lives for Christmas. You know what I mean? Do an activity with the kids. If you're an aunt or uncle or grandparent, they love that. You could just simple as making a Christmas ornament with them. My aunts every year would every year take me. And one aunt would stage a photograph, and it was so much fun because I'd spend the night. She'd do my hair in curlers. It was this process of staging this pretty picture that she would print and give to my mom. Then my other aunt would make something. We would make something together every year. And then we would all, you know, always have our different things that we baked. That was my favorite gift. That was all I needed, was that time together, doing an activity, doing something, creating something. And now with my own kids, that's my favorite gift to give them. The favorite gift is
perfect timing.
Cookies. It is, right?
There's one of our special
we're talking about things together. And what do we do, like, try to look for every day? What do we try to do every day? A random act of kindness, right? That's the other thing. Just random acts of kindness, whether it's helping, stopping and helping an old lady at a gas pump who looks like she's struggling with starting her car, to, you know, maybe you see somebody in front of you, car not work, getting their coffee or something like that.
Yep.
We had a breach. Because
we talked about all of our 5 topics, and we got to really hold some space around the weight of the holidays. And if you're needing more love or support, reach out to us. Let us know. We'd be happy to help you here at Sea Goddess Healing Arts.
That's a gift in itself, just holding sacred space with somebody.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost you anything.
Nope. Nope. So there's just so many things that we can do for one another at this time, and just know that you're held. And in moments where you're just not really sure what to do, take a breath, tell yourself that you're peace, tell yourself everything's okay. Take a few breaths if you can, and ask your angels to surround you in white and blue light and protect you, to show you the truth and to help you keep healing. And they really will.
Yeah. For holiday anxiety, I think stopping and finding 5 things that you love and enjoy about the holiday. Like for the kids, when they start to have a meltdown, okay, let's look for some Christmas lights. Just going to search for houses with Christmas lights on it is an activity and a de-stressor, I think. How do pretty lights not make you feel happy, right? We're thinking about a good cup of hot cocoa or a yummy cookie. Just, you know, simple 5 things you're grateful for about the holidays to bring back that gratitude, right?
I love it. I love it. I love both of you. Thank you to all of our listeners and tuner-inners for watching and hanging out with us. We are Mandee and Lexi of Unschooled, and you can find us on SeaGoddessHealingArts.com. Wishing you and everyone a happy, and a merry.
And a very peaceful holiday.
Very peaceful. Bye-bye.
Bye.